Good morning, folks. Welcome to another edition of Mark's Morning Business Check-in. Thanks so much for joining me on this Thursday. I know a lot of people may now be off work or taking a long weekend if they can. And if you are, fantastic. I'm going back on to now. I'm putting all my channels live. So thanks for joining me. Just so you know, the temperature outside in Dublin is about 3 degrees. In London is about 6 and Paris is 9. That's not your morning forecast. And what a day it's been yesterday. We had the rocket launch from Cape Canaveral. The Americans are on the way to the moon for the first time in years and years and years. And everything went according to plan. Countdown was paused for a few minutes, but they're on the way to the moon now. And if you looked at Sky News this morning, you've seen some of the images that they've actually sent back. And the interesting thing is they're live streaming everything on that moon visit. So everything that's happening as it happens, the whole world's going to see it. Isn't that unbelievable? All from a ship up in space. And I think tomorrow they're heading towards the moon. Today they're just doing all checks up there on the rocket, making sure everything's going according to plan. It's extraordinary. I'll tell you a very good story about the first time I ever saw a space shuttle take off. This is a true fact. When the first space shuttle ever took off, I was big into everything space. But also on that day, I was on the Mitch from school. Okay? Anyone who doesn't know what on the Mitch means, it means my parents thought I was at school and the teachers thought I was at home sick, right? So I didn't want to go to school. I didn't know then I was dyslexic, and that's what probably my challenge was. But I didn't want to go to school. But I knew the space shuttle was taking off around 3 o'clock Irish time. So come about 2 o'clock, I go back home, knock on my mother's door. And my mother said, "Why are you home from school so early?" I said, "Mom, the science teacher told us we can all go home to look at the live takeoff on RT1 of the space shuttle." Now, I say RT1 because a lot of young people listening will be used to loads of radio stations. When I was young, we only had a few. RTE, there was no RTE2, there was UTV, there was HTV. That was basically it. So my mother said, "That's brilliant, well done. So come in." And she told me to sit where the TV was. I said, "Would you like a bowl of soup?" I said, "Yeah, I want that." "God, that'd be brilliant. Thanks very much for a bowl of soup." Say goodbye to my grandson. He's waving to me. So he's off for the day. It's great having him living next door. So I said, "Got a bowl of soup. That's brilliant." So my mother, that was unusual. We weren't allowed to eat in front of the TV. We were not allowed to eat in front of the TV. So she brought the bowl of soup in, put it on the table in front of me with some bread. And then as the space shuttle was on countdown, so it was on countdown 10. And she said, "Are you enjoying that?" I said, "This is brilliant, Mom. Thanks so much." 8, 7. And I'm looking at her going, yeah, trying to cut her noise out of my ears while I looked at the first ever reusable space shuttle going to the moon. 3, yeah. "Oh, by the way, your school rang." And I remember nothing else after that. And she said, "You just wait till your father gets home." Now, the problem with that was my father worked at sea. So unlike other dads and normal dads and probably normal jobs who came home in the evening time, I had to wait 4 days for my dad to come home to go ballistic at me on why I was on the Mitch from school. And that the teachers thought I was at home and my parents thought I was in school. And the reason I'm telling that story is today's show, we're just going to talk about dyslexia. And I hated school. I really hated school because I knew I was clever. I knew it was clever because I'd got summer jobs on the car ferries. I knew how to make money. I knew count-wise, I could keep track of all the stock in my head. I could keep track of all the sales of the money in my head in the T-bar. I knew I was very clever. But but I couldn't express that cleverness in any way. I couldn't actually express it. Because in school, every class, the teachers were telling me, you're stupid, you're slow, you don't understand that. Why are you not studying? Why did you not revise it? When it came to algebra, bloody hell, I was lost, completely lost. English was okay-ish. But then they start doing poems and they start looking for different meanings within the poems. Bloody hell, some of the words, I hadn't got a clue what they were. I didn't have a clue what they were. And yet, when I was 14, 15, 16, 17, working on the car ferries, looking after running a tea bar, serving people in the restaurant, coming up with, managing the tea bar, managing the stock, all that type of stuff. I was extremely clever. And as I said, I couldn't understand why I couldn't express that cleverness in school. So I did my Leaving Cert, which was horrendous. And through a relation of ours, by luck, the only exam I'd done really well on was accountancy, because I was always very good at numbers. And you'll find people who are dyslexic. They may be bad at reading or bad at understanding stuff or known words, but they could be good at maths. Like if you're in business for yourself now, you give me the key figures in your business, I can do a P&L account in my head, and I'm probably 99% right on what type of money you're making or not making. Or within. My son's the same. Last week, we were talking about some figure, and I said that the minimum wage is €14 an hour, 14.10. That's, wonder how much that is a year. I was about to get my calculator out. 2 seconds he had the answer. 2 seconds. And he's so good at maths. The maths he does, he just sees it. And I said to him, how did you do that quick? And he's like me. He just sees it in front of him. Like most dyslexic people, they see it in front of them. So I got lucky. A cousin of mine got me into Rathmines College, studying in the evening time accountancy, and that's where I did accountancy. But there's an awful lot, and my school years was horrendous. But because there was no real help, no one knew what dyslexia was. No one knew what it was. I was only diagnosed when I was 35. When I was 35, I was diagnosed. So I had to wait all that time. Now, when I was diagnosed, I was doing my master's in Trinity College. I was running a company with 300 or 400 people that I was responsible for. We'd grown the company from 100,000 after we bought it to turning up to generate £14 million in revenue. That ain't bad in a couple of years. That ain't bad. We'd sold the company to Air, which was then Aircom. That ain't bad. I'd already ran a business my own business in the UK. You would call it Deliveroo. I had 11 restaurants that I got, and we delivered food around Chelsea and Kensington. I started that business from scratch. I designed that business. I got the menus together. I did everything, right? So I knew I was clever. But when I came to 35 years old, going to do my master's, I was shitting myself. Having to go in there every Friday, we're a small little group of people, most of them bankers and one or two other entrepreneurs. And the bankers were from AIB, Bank of Ireland. These people, to me, were clever. But I couldn't express my cleverness. But they were in awe of me because I was running a company turning over 40 million. All the staff were responsible for. We were the leading brand in Ireland on the internet. They were impressed by me. But I couldn't understand why. But I was dreading the first exam. The first exam was all going to be about some theories about business and all that. It was all handwriting. And my handwriting is atrocious. As I often say to people, I can give lessons to doctors on how to have bad handwriting. If it came to handwriting, I have a PhD in bad handwriting. My real name is Dr. Mark Beggs when it comes to handwriting. Specialist in bad handwriting. That's me. Right? I'm a specialist in bad handwriting because my handwriting is so atrocious that even sometimes I can't read what I've written down. So after the first exam, the professor that was leading our course in Trinity College came up to me and said, Mark, can I have a word with you? Now, I was dreading failing that exam. Why was I dreading it? Because turning over 40 million, I had 300 to 400 staff. People knew I was doing a master's. Imagine how I would feel going back into my office knowing I failed the exam. And he said, Mark, your exam was okay. No need to worry there. Your handwriting is atrocious and your spelling isn't great. Would you do us a favour? We have someone in Trinity College who can test you for a thing called dyslexia. I said, okay. I heard about dyslexia, but I'd never researched or anything like that. So I went to get tested for dyslexia. And yes, they found out I had this thing called dyslexia. Now, did it make a difference to me? I'm still running a company turning over 40 million. I still have 300 or 400 staff reporting to me. I still felt like I was going to fail the masters. I couldn't understand why my spelling was atrocious. I couldn't understand why all these other people in the room, all the 8 other people, bankers and all, could say all these big words. The minute they saw them, they knew what it was, they knew how to spell it, all that type of stuff. When they were talking about theorems and theories in business, I was trying to figure out what the bloody word was. That's what I was doing, right? But he said to me, you have a thing called dyslexia, so we're not going to correct your exam based on your spelling. Happy days. Miracle. And your handwriting will decipher it. You just learn the stuff. Don't get bogged down with the handwriting. Don't get bogged down with the spelling. Don't get bogged down with the grammar. And then he said to me, Mark, you do realise to be dyslexic, you must have a very high IQ. And I flew through my masters. But there's children out there today who are struggling worse than me when they shouldn't struggle, because there's help out there. There's help out there if you're dyslexic, dyspraxic, dyscalculia, ADHD. There's help out there. There really is. And I'm always amazed in 2025 that people still come up to me and tell me how much their kids are struggling. And the first thing I always say to them is, what help have you got? And they look at me blank. We're waiting on the school to help. Or the special needs teacher takes them out once a week for an hour. And I go, bloody hell, come on. To help our son who was dyslexic, my wife went and researched dyslexia and what we could find to help him, or what she could find to help him. It's all down to her. I hadn't even told her I was dyslexia. I hid my report about dyslexia. I still didn't like being dyslexic. I didn't know what it meant. And there's no point telling me or telling young kids now that Richard Branson is dyslexic or Tom Cruise is dyslexic. They don't care, because it doesn't make their struggles in school any better. They're still struggling in the school or in college or at work. It doesn't make it any better. It really doesn't. So Anne-Marie found a program that worked so well for her son and gave him the tools and the confidence that he just thrived, that she gave up being a financial controller of a large company and went and studied this whole program herself. 21 years later, she's a global expert on dyslexia, dyspraxia. We're a bestseller on Amazon, A Bridge Between Two Meals. If you're looking for a book, it's Anne-Marie Beggs. Anne-Marie Beggs. If you're looking for a website, it's Mind's Eye Education. But she does these 5-day courses for children and adults who are dyslexic. And let me tell you something. Her office is based in the house. I've seen children come in here on a Monday with their baseball caps closed, not able to string a conversation of 2 words together. Shyness unbelievable. The same child then, when they're leaving and finish their program on a Friday, it's completely different. They're talking to me. They're chatting away about what they love. And the most important thing is they now have confidence, because they're now starting to read. The handwriting has improved. If they were dyspraxic, they're not dyspraxic anymore. They just have improved. So if you are a parent of a child, don't let them struggle like I did in school. Don't let them have to go into Mitch and being absent from school without permission, like I did. And you know where I went to the Mitch? This will make you laugh. I went to Raheny Library. I didn't walk around town. No, it's too bloody cold. I went to Raheny Library. That's where I went. A dyslexic person going to a library doesn't make sense, does it? No. But I was interested in different types of books. So I would look at the books, mainly the ones with loads of pictures in them. I could read them, but mainly the ones with loads of pictures in them. But if you have someone who's struggling with dyslexia, they shouldn't be struggling. This time of year, we have exams coming up. We have Leaving Cert, Junior Cert, A-levels. They shouldn't be struggling. They just shouldn't. And as a parent, you shouldn't allow that to happen. And you probably have a child at home who if they're dyslexic or dyspraxic, and you're wondering why every Thursday or Friday they say they feel unwell or they feel their stomach's sick. The reason for that is, or if they're in work on a Friday, you as a boss might think they're never any good on a Friday. Why do they always feel like they've switched off on a Friday? And actually, you go back and look over their sick days. Maybe they're sick regularly on a Thursday or a Friday. I'll tell you why that is. It's very simple. Because dyslexic people use all their energy trying to concentrate, trying to focus, trying to read stuff in front of them. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They use twice as much of their energy and their brain power as a normal person would, because they're trying to keep up with people. They could be trying to mask and hide the fact that they're dyslexic or ADHD or dyscalculia. And all that takes a toll during the week. So by Friday or Thursday, they feel exhausted. They feel sick in their stomach. If they're a child, they will say they don't want to get out of bed. They don't want to go to school. They just feel exhausted. That's a side effect of dyslexia unhelped. That's a side effect of ADHD unhelped. And that's a side effect of dyscalculia, dyspraxia, and even autism unhelped. And even though I'm dyslexic, look at this. I wrote a novel 15 years ago. I have a business book out. Okay? I write children's books for children who are dyslexic and neurotypical. And all my proofreaders are children. Book 1, 2, and 3 are 3 out. I plan to have 16 out. Right? It shouldn't hold you back. If your child, I said this to someone last week, and their eyes lit up. It was like I gave them a ray of hope. I said to them, your child cannot be dyslexic unless they have a very high IQ. And he looked at me, what? I said, children who are dyslexic have a very high IQ. And his eyes lit up because he suddenly realized his child is not slow. I'm going to use a word I hate, stupid, because there's no such thing as a stupid child. No. But he knew that, I said to him, the reason your child cannot keep up in school is very simple. They're not being taught the right way. They've been taught the way neurotypical children learn. I have to see things visual. I see everything as a complete IMAX movie 24/7. I don't see words in my head. I just see pictures all the time. Children who are dyslexic need to be taught in a way that has all images. And Emily has just come on here to say, so true. As a child, it was bad. But she's still pushing through it. It does not hold her back. Bloody hell, Emily, that's fantastic. It shouldn't hold you back. Get the right help. Go on the right courses. And if I see a word I've never seen before, I will trip over it. I will trip over it. The things called key trigger words that people who are dyslexic do not see. When, there, if, and. We've no pictures for those words and many other words. Until we have a picture, we cannot say them. That's true. We cannot say them, and we cannot understand them and know what the meaning is. And that's why part of Anne-Marie's 5-day course that she has been doing for 21 years is using clay to do an image of the word. So if I find a word I don't know, I'll do a clay model of it. I now have a picture of that word in my head. I can now say it. I now know what it means. And more importantly, I can now spell it. So do yourself a favor. You don't have to come to Anne-Marie. But if you want free information, go on to mindseyeeducation.com about dyslexia. mindseyeeducation.com. Go to anyone. But as a parent, it's your job to make sure your child does the best they can in school. The best they can. You have to give them every opportunity. An hour a week of a special learning resource teacher. It's not every opportunity. It's not. And many of these people are just normal teachers who, during the whole training, gets about half a day's training in dyslexia. Not 2 years of training on it and 21 years of experience. So they're still teachers. They're not trained in how children who are dyslexic, dyspraxic, ADHD think and learn. I still go mad when I hear people teaching kids phonics who are dyslexic. Kids who are dyslexic cannot do phonics. They cannot sound the words, but teachers still don't get that through them. And it's been proven. It's a fact. It's a scientific fact. And it drives me nuts that people still try to teach people that way. So look, if you're looking for information on dyslexia, dyspraxia, ADHD, go on to mindseyeeducation.com. We have a lot of free stuff up there. We have a lot of information up there. mindseyeeducation.com. And like Emily here, as Emily said here, she has as a child, she's still pushing through it, but it doesn't hold her back. And many of Anne-Marie's clients have been adults. Her youngest client was 4. Her oldest is 84. You could always get help, no matter what age you are. You can always get help, no matter what age you are. So do reach out and get the help. And as I say to everybody, we have an awful lot of free information on our Instagrams. So hit the follow button. We have an awful lot of free information on mindseyeeducation.com. We have an awful lot of free information on our YouTube site at mindseyeeducation.com. But just go on there and just get the information. Help the people who are dyslexic in your family to do better, easier. Would I have done more things if I had been diagnosed as a child? Probably yes. Probably yes. Did it hold me back? Probably yes. Would I still be where I am today? Probably yes. But I may have done other things. I may have got where I wanted to go quicker if I had had the right tools to help me with my dyslexia. And it's your job as a parent to make sure you help your child. It really is. So I'm going to say goodbye to all my friends on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Thanks very much for joining me this morning. I'm not here tomorrow. It's Good Friday. We're getting close to Easter eggs. So I'll be back on Tuesday. But don't forget, if you've missed any of my shows since the 6th of January, and we've done them every day, yes, since the 6th of January, every weekday, they're all on podcast. Just put my name in, Mark Beggs, to wherever you get your podcast. Mark Beggs. If you want information on dyslexia or dyspraxia and you're not sure where to look, just email me, markbeggs@gmail.com, and you'll see the banner ad going up there now with my email address. So just email me, markbeggs@gmail.com, and any help I can give you, any direction I can point you, I'll do my best to help you or your family member get the resources they need for dyslexia, dyspraxia, or ADHD. So have a great Easter. Hope you enjoy yourself. Don't eat too much chocolate. And if you do, make sure it's good quality chocolate. Okay? But have a great time. And I'll talk to you all again. Same time next Tuesday, 7:30 a.m. And thanks for joining me. And I really appreciate it. joining me so early in the morning. Thanks very much. Take care of yourself.